السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. لعله يقال إن السياسة الخارجية تبدأ من الداخل، ولعل ماليزيا هذه الدولة الحيوية في جنوب شرق آسيا قد عانت وما زالت من عدم استقرار سياسي غير مسبوق تقريبا خلال العامين الماضيين، حيث في شباط فبراير 2020 حدث تطور أطلق عليه اسم تحرك الشيراتون، والذي نتج عن تغيير العديد من أعضاء البرلمان الماليزي ولاءاتهم الحزبية، مما أدى إلى خسارة الأغلبية البرلمانية وشهد سقوط حكومة تحالف باكاتان هارابان الحاكمة واستقالة رئيس الوزراء مهاتير محمد بعد 22 شهرا في السلطة، وتم استبدالهم بحكومة تحالف بركتان الوطنية بقيادة رئيس الوزراء محي الدين ياسين. ومع ذلك استمر عدم الاستقرار السياسي عقب تلك التغييرات طوال عام 2020 وحتى عام 2021، والذي تفاقم بسبب جائحة كوفيد-19. وبلغ هذا الاضطراب ذروته باستقالة محي الدين وحكومته في آب أغسطس 2021 بعد 17 شهرا في السلطة. بعد أيام قليلة تم تعيين إسماعيل صبري يعقوب رئيس الوزراء التاسع للبلاد ليحل محل محي الدين. محمد سابو أو مات سابو وزير الدفاع الماليزي الأسبق والعضو الحالي في البرلمان الماليزي مؤسس ورئيس حزب أمانة يشرح كيف ولماذا اندلعت هذه الأزمة وتداعيات وتبعات ذلك من الداخل وخارجيا، وموقف البلاد من القضايا الملحة مثل أمن سلسلة التوريد العالمية والعملية العسكرية في أوكرانيا وتوحش الاحتلال الإسرائيلي المستمر لفلسطين وصمود أهلها. أهلا بكم إلى حلقة جديدة من الداخل، معكم زينب صفار، تابعونا. Muhammad Sabo or Mat Sabo, former Malaysian Minister of Defense, a member of the Malaysian Parliament since 1990, mashallah, founder and president of the Amana Party. Welcome to Min al-Dakhil from the inside, sir.
Thank you very much.
Pure pleasure to have you always. Well, a lot has happened since we last met in 2018. Inside Malaysia and worldwide, a plethora of dynamics have led the way to the global political theatre and landscape. Let's talk about Malaysia. In 2020 and up till today, 2022, Malaysian political crisis is an ongoing political crisis today. It has been caused by several members of parliament, changing party support, leading to the loss of a parliamentary majority and the collapse of two successive governments and the resignation of two Prime Ministers in less than 18 months. What is going on in Malaysia today?
We in Malaysia, we call the Sheraton move.
Yeah, the Sheraton
all
move.
the members of parliament, they made use of the racial and religion issue. They said our government, led by Mahathir Mohamad, actually controlled by non-Muslim Chinese from Democratic Action Party. So the propaganda said the Muslim is not safe anymore under we call the Pakatan Harapan government. So they try to influence especially the Muslim member of parliament from the ruling party, the Keadilan Party, and of course Bersatu Party led by Mahyudin Yassin withdraw from Pakatan Harapan and with the ruling party, National Front, they combined together. So they said they have enough number to overthrow our government. But they never test in parliament. Never test in parliament because they have a majority or not. We think that there are highest conspiracy to topple our government. At the same time, Mahathir Mohamad as you know, he's a very, we call the champion of to help the Palestinian people, Bosnia Herzegovina, and he's very called this outspoken about the international issue, especially to support the third world Palestinian issue.
The Palestinian issue, the
and
Kashmiri issue.
Kashmir issue,
True.
and of course, always against United States and the European power. So I think they also involved in the way we cannot.
You mean that they oppose the Malaysian
Yeah.
support of such kind of
Yeah.
international humanitarian
international,
issues?
like when I became defense minister, first our duty is to ask the government to form a committee to investigate corruption, especially in my ministry. It's a defense minister government, defense ministry. So the
But
special
Your
committee.
Excellency, today Malaysia, and it has been said also, and I have here some kind of report, it says that, the Transparency International in Malaysia, it said that Malaysia is increasingly becoming known for its
Corruption
bad
country.
governance practices, resulting in a loss of billions of ringgit.
Billion, let's say we call this disappear.
And we know what happened to the
This-
Prime Minister, the first
now
ever
in
Prime
jail,
Minister who
the
was
first Prime
was
Minister,
prison.
because we can take the government and we call proceed to the court case. Who have a strong case, then we put in court, the trial in court. So former Prime Minister involved $1 billion in corruption case. We call it 1MDB. Then when after we investigate we call the defense ministry, there are LCS, lateral combat ship. This we paid more than 6 billion ringgit.
Yes,
around,
the literal combat ship. That's very true.
1.5 billion US dollar. Not even one is complete.
Yes.
It's not complete, even one. So we think that there are.
Your Excellency,
Corruption.
of course there is a big wave of corruption hitting hard on Malaysia. But you, sir, as a former defense minister and as a person who joined the Muslim youth movement of Malaysia to begin your political career, what do you say to the youth in Malaysia in this wave of corruption?
The youth is still we call it influenced by racial and religious issue, not religion, but they make use the extremist religious issue. Like especially in Malaysia, Sunni and Shia still. They
So
can
we
play
don't have it
among
only
this
in
issue.
Lebanon and today in Iraq, it's
so
also
of
in
course,
Malaysia today.
Like when I became defense minister,
Yes.
I withdraw the army that the previous defense minister sent to Saudi Arabia to fight with Yemen.
You pulled out your forces.
In my cabinet.
Yes.
I told in my cabinet we only can send our army under United Nations, like we send our army in Lebanon under UNIFIL.
The UNIFIL, true.
Or we send our army to Somalia under United Nations, the border Kuwait and Iraq under United Nations. But to Saudi Arabia, it's not under United Nations.
But what was the
I
reaction?
suspect that it's bought over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today, after 4 years, did that negatively affect the relationship between Malaysia and Kingdom of Saudi Arabia?
Yeah, they are a little effective, but at the same time, now, of course, the balancing power in Middle East is Iran. So now in Iran we still have a relation, but not good as before. I think because of the
Why?
influence of the so-called the Gulf country, because they one by one that state and the country have we call a relation with Israel, normalization with Israel. But our cabinet, especially in Mahathir,
Yes.
we don't like to.
But
have
do you
a
think that there might
relation with
be,
Israel.
sir, arduous pressure on Malaysia, on the government today in Malaysia to try and make a sort of deal of normalization of ties with the Israelis,
Direct-
one way or another, even through the economy?
Direct, I cannot say that they're the direct involvement or
You mean
direct influence.
implicit?
But I know there are influence there, because some of our leaders that very close friend with the so-called the Gulf country like UAE,
The United Arab Emirates and yes,
Saudi Arabia. So we actually, under previous Prime Minister, the father of Najib and Mahathir Mohamad, we maintained that our neutrality. That means if we want to send army to outside, only under United Nations. Not we sided with Saudi or sided with Iran or sided with any country. But
Yes.
there are rumors about they give pressure to. Actually, they also want to have called one center, Salman Center, to we call the institution to train and against the we call the terrorists or something. But I also cancelled that program because we know when this Middle East country, especially they finance and support the rising of
Extremist
the
actions,
extremists
like
in
ISIS
Syria
and others,
in Iraq.
sure.
So how can we allow this type of center to open in Malaysia?
True.
But I cancel it. But from the until now, they never established back. I don't know if they win the coming election. If they win, maybe they're going to start to establish back.
Right. Allow me to ask you here, sir. What are the key challenges in the near term for Malaysia today, and why some tend to refer to Malaysia as the new Malaysia? And does Malaysia's domestic political turbulence threaten to derail its foreign policy?
Yeah, Malaysia is supposed to be same as South Korea, the standard of economy. But our corruption can increase and increase every year. Now there is around 15 billion 1 year. The waste of because of corruption, 15 billion loss. Loss we call loss in action. That means under we call it the corruption in Malaysia ringgit is 60 billion ringgit 1 year. So if 15 billion USD 1 year, that means our development, everything will we call this
We'll just
decrease.
yeah.
Then our money value also a little bit down and down. Last time we have enjoyed very long time. $1, 2 ringgit 50 cent. But now $1, 4 ringgit 50 cent.
Yes.
So
a devaluation
huge,
of the ringgit.
Devaluation of the ringgit. And of course, our neighbor, Singapore, 1 ringgit, $1. Now 3 ringgit 20 cent is $1 Singapore. Even in Thailand, we also last time 1 ringgit 10 baht. Now 1 ringgit only 7.8 baht. So our money now decrease and decrease because
devalued.
our reserve is less and less because corruption is very high.
Okay. And what are the steps taken, perhaps, you as members of parliament, responsible one way or another, to fight this kind
In
of...
fact, we educate the people. We try to explain to the people. Of course, the propaganda, who control the propaganda? Because government machinery,
Sir,
government machinery is very strong.
we will try to dig more into the internal politics of Malaysia, but allow us to stop now for a short break, and then we'll be back to talk more further about some regional issues also. إذا فاصل قصير ونعود، لا تذهبوا بعيدا. Muhammad Sabo, former Defense Minister of Malaysia and member of the Malaysian Parliament, prominent member actually of the Malaysian Parliament. You've been there since 1990. Allow me to ask you here, sir, what is your country's stance on pressing issues such as the global supply chain security? We all know that with what's going on, the Russian operation in Ukraine, you know, this is affecting worldwide, and not only the repercussions and the backlash is not on this particular region alone, but on the whole world. The current energy crisis, and the Israeli, of course, aggression against the Palestinians on daily basis, whether in Gaza, in the West Bank, in occupied Al-Quds, while at the same time, I want you to foresee the expansion of the foreign investment in Malaysia. These are many issues, a basket of issues.
4 or 5 years,
Yes,
I'll talk about this issue, the shifting of power.
of course.
Shifting of power. Yesterday I visited Babylon, the world power 3,000 years ago.
Of course.
Then after that, Mesopotamia, the power changed to Pharaoh, the Pharaoh power. Then after that go to Roman power. After Rome, they go to Muslim power. Then Western power.
Of course.
Now the Western power and American and Europe start to decline because the new power emerge now. That's from the East.
You mean
China.
a Eurasian power?
Yeah, for years I talk all this. Even during I minister, I talk to our army. You have a mind to change the direction faster because you cannot depend, because our army, our education, if army they go only they have a school West Point and Sandhurst. Sandhurst is United Kingdom, West Point is America. I said we must start to change because the world is changing.
Of course.
Now the power shift to China. Of course, when the war, Russia with Ukraine, the Western power become weaker and weaker because Russia, they have oil and gas. Now they have combined with we call the Iran, also have oil and gas, and China, 1.5 billion people. That's also I went to talk tomorrow in my paper. Two, the main supplier of oil and gas, they also have nuclear capability, and China, they have 1.5 billion people, very high consumption of the wealth, property, everything. So this will become the new power. So you can see America, they have to leave Iraq.
Yes.
Then they leave Afghanistan.
But they didn't leave.
Yeah,
They say that they are leaving, but they never
leaving,
leave.
But of course, they left a very poor country, poor people in Afghanistan.
And they devastated the country and the infrastructure.
We must recognize that the power of America is declined. So when the European also declined because of the war and other happening in the world,
Energy crisis too.
energy crisis, everything. So Israel also will be weak for the future because they depend on UK, America, and France. Of course, at the same time, the Muslim Ummah and the Arab, like Hezbollah, Jihad, and Hamas, become stronger and stronger. Of course, many Arab countries also they start to normalization with Israel, but the people not recognize that.
So it's the regimes who are normalizing the ties with
But the
Israel, but the peoples are not
recognize.
in favor of
We
that.
can see that what happening in Morocco. They can
course.
have a normalization with Israel, but the people never recognize. I think that also the same in Saudi Arabia and UAE. If you go and ask the people there, but because it's not democratic country, no election, everything. But I think the people in Arab also they don't like to have a normalization with Israel. Then of course now Hezbollah, Jihad Islami and Hamas, especially Hezbollah, they challenged Israel 2004. Even they can damage
2006,
the
true.
call this Makova tank, everything. So now they more than that their capability to.
Yeah, they have
to face with
precision
Israel. So,
missiles also. All their
I
missiles
think
are
the Muslim and Arab must unite together. I think very soon Israel will
vanish. Yes.
and the Palestinian can return to their homeland.
Yes.
Inshallah.
Yes.
For me, it's
Of course, inshallah. Hopefully soon, very soon.
yeah.
Yes. How does Malaysia perceive the U.S.-China standoff?
Malaysia, of course, is still have a good relation with Australia, New Zealand, because the agreement from long time, 50 years ago.
Of course.
But still maintained. But at the same time, of course, America try to influence us to side with them. But up till now, we still maintain our neutrality. We have to go and talk to China because China is. We call it's not border, but our neighbor.
Of course.
If any any war happen in South China Sea, America will not suffer. They will run away if they lost. They will run away like in Vietnam or Afghanistan. They go back. The people will suffer. Our area will suffer. We don't want the war in South China Sea. So during my time, I talked to all the ASEAN defense minister and Chinese defense minister, American defense secretary to talk all this, must preserve the peace and stability in South China Sea because that area is very, what call this, oil reserve for the future is very, very good.
I think this is the duty of the countries in that region to maintain this kind of security because as you said, when anything erupts over there, the Americans are just going...
Yeah, they just run away or go back. Then they left Vietnam. How
of course.
Suffer Vietnam, they take more than 30 years to start recover and to redevelop their country. Now, of course, Vietnam is
of course, and they are still suffering from Agent Orange and everything.
Orange, all this
type
of weapon they use.
Exactly.
Against the United Nations law or Geneva law.
Sir, currently we are in the holy city of Karbala, this beautiful city, and we come here also to stand in solidarity and symbiosis with the Palestinian people through the city of Karbala and the call for Al-Aqsa. What is, sir, the symbolism of Karbala, of Imam Hussein Renaissance, peace be upon him, and his family, and the Palestinian cause?
For me, today is the most happiest day. Because, you know, all the 80% of the Sunni ulama, they went to Imam Hussein shrine to have a meeting there. Then, of course, Shia ulama from Iran, from Iraq, very little today. All the Sunni ulama from Syria, from Iraq, from Lebanon, they went, they have conference in the Imam Hussein
Shrine, holy shrine, true.
This is a very important step to unite the people. As I mentioned to you, when the Islamic Revolution in 1980s, you know, in our country, especially Islamic Party, mostly every house, every the past leader, Islamic Party leader, they put Imam Khomeini photo. They mean they support the revolution. After that, after 5-6 years, you know, the propaganda from America and Saudi to divide Sunni and Shia, they start to pull down the Imam Khomeini photo. Of course, the Mazahib issue, Sunni and Shia become flourish in our country. Displayed by, of course, America and the agent, because you know, the people in Malaysia, they don't know that Shahiran and the government before so Shia, but they try to play that Imam Khomeini try to separate Shia something, so they can divide the people for temporary. But now today I'm the most happy when the ulama from Sunni ulama we have a conference in the Imam Hussein shrine. This very
Do you
good.
believe that the Palestinian cause is there is a kind of umbilical cord linked to the Renaissance of Imam Hussein?
They have to link each other because they talk about madhahib. I don't want to mention what type of madhahib.
Exactly.
But at last they recognize Israel. But who not recognize Israel? Iran. So now Iran image to the Muslim Ummah a little bit better now compared to 10, 20 years ago because of the madhahib issue.
Allow me to ask you my last question, sir. What do you say to the detainees who are fighting, the Palestinian detainees who are fighting and resisting the Israeli horrendous, barbaric occupation with their human flesh, with their empty stomach? What do you say to them? What's your message that you think you have to deliver through their magnanimous acts?
I will answer different way. You know, we in Malaysia, we want to donate for the Palestinian struggle, or Al-Aqsa struggle. We donate it, we close our eyes to the Arab. If we look at the Arab, even 1 cent we don't want to donate because they have a lot of money. But we donate because of Allah, our duty to the justice and to fight for the justice. Why the Arab people, the Arab country don't shy when they see all the Palestinians killed every day by the Jew and by the America? Then they still have a good relation with America and Israel. Then they recognize Israel. At the same time, the Muslim and Arab suffer every day. So sometimes some of our people also ask, why we donate to Palestinian struggle? The Arab, they don't care. But you said no. We responsible to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
And humanity.
Humanity, that's our right. Even we donate 10 cents or $1 or something, but it's our duty. But we don't look at the Arab people because they can finish for the gambling and drinking. One day maybe $1 million or something in New York, in London, Edgeware Road or something.
Of course.
They don't care. But we care for the Palestinian people. We care for the Masjid al-Aqsa. We care for the humanity. That we work hard to campaign all this all the time.
Bless your heart, Mat Sabo, former Malaysian Minister of Defense and member of the Malaysian Parliament, founder and president of Amana Party. Thank you very much, sir, for your comprehensive and thorough analysis. Always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Most welcome. Always a pleasure to have you. ودائما الشكر لكم مشاهدينا الكرام على طيب المتابعة. للتفاعل أكثر تابعونا على صفحات السوشيال ميديا، وحتى نلتقي من كل فريق عمل الميادين، من كل الميادين من كربلاء، مدينة كربلاء المقدسة. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.